I allowed myself to become a victim, all because I wanted love, all because I wanted true love. Never feel that you have to settle for less. You are a woman of word. You are a woman of power. So I need you to own up to that. If we are queens in the eyesight of God, what man out here can tell us that who could make us feel any less? I'm honored to be here.
So tell us a little bit about who you are, your name, and where you're from.
I'm Yolanda Dawson. I'm from Southfield, Michigan. God has blessed me with a ministry, Women of Worth, Women of Power International Ministries. I'm a mother. I have recently been engaged, and I'm just overall grateful of the things that God is doing in my life right now. It's like a 360 turnaround.
Now we're gonna talk about this 360.
Okay.
Yeah, even from when I met you last year,
Yeah,
it's been about a year and a half.
yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about your journey. So, how did you grow up?
Well, I was raised. I was born in Laurel, Mississippi. I believe I was at the age of 6 or 7 when my mom left Mississippi and moved us to Michigan. And that's where I had been, that's where I resided. That's why I remained there. My life has been a journey. I ended up looking for love in the wrong places. And the reason why I say that is because I never received the love that I was seeking from my father. So in me not seeking that love that I desired so much as a young lady, having the dad, he was there in my life, but it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't that, I didn't have that teaching, I would see how other people, other young kids, would be interacting, with their dad, things of that nature. And I never really received it because we were in different states.
Right.
So, and it just allowed me to find love in all the wrong places. And I can say that because of how I see my father treating my mother.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. So were they married?
No.
Okay. And were they always in different states?
After she decided to leave.
So he was in Mississippi.
Yeah, he remained in Mississippi.
Got it.
And then she moved us to Michigan.
Was there a rift there between he and your mother? Like, is that why she left, or was there a rift after she left because she left?
He was abusive.
Yeah,
he was abusive to my mother. Yeah. And I really believe that by my father being abusive to my mother and me growing up without the father that I was actually seeking, then it caused me throughout my life to search for love in all the wrong places. So I just ended up being involved with different men just to be able to say, just that I have someone in my life. And I dealt with the abuse. I dealt with the disrespect. I even dealt with the beatings.
And so what age were you when you said that you got into your first abusive relationship?
I wasn't, I would say I was actually grown. I was actually grown when I started experiencing that. I was actually grown. I looked for, I was more of the materialistic person. So no matter how you treated me, as long as you could give me, you understand what I'm saying? as long as I can go on the finer trips in life, as long as I can go to different countries, you know, as long as I can ride in the finer cars and things of that nature. And that's where I went wrong, because although I was seeking love, I didn't receive love. So I just accepted it. You see what I'm saying? And me accepting it is like, okay, they knew like, okay, well, all I have to do is just spend some money to bring her back in. All I had to do was buy her a diamond ring or buy her some jewelry or something like that. It's like they knew what to do, because I don't know. Could I actually say that once upon a time in my life, yes, I was a gold digger. That's not now. Look, so if you didn't have, you know, the finer things in life, then don't, you know, no. But the abuse that I dealt,
Exactly.
it's like I had allowed low self-esteem to come into my life. I allowed myself to settle for the things of life. I accepted it all. But deep down inside, I was hurting. I was bitter because I wanted the love. I literally wanted the love. But because I couldn't get the love that I was seeking, I just settled for everything else. Just to say I have a man on my side.
So what was the situation that sparked you to want to change?
The me getting involved in a relationship with someone and how I was treated by him. I was treated so bad by him when I gave my all to him and it wasn't received. He didn't know my worth. He didn't recognize my worth, or he did, but because of the type of person that he was, being a womanizer, you know, I just dealt with it, Shannon, and it.
So talk to me a little bit about this situation. So where did you meet him?
I had been knowing him for years. Yeah, I had been knowing him for years.
That was a narcissist?
But after my husband had passed away, we ended up rekindling. So I believe that I allowed him to end up coming back in my life in a vulnerable state of my life after losing my husband. So it's like I had been knowing him for years. I had dated him when we was like, you know, but when my husband had passed away, he ended up coming back into my life. And when he came back into my life, then that's when the spark, for me, although he was like that now, back then.
Oh.
Yeah. But there was like a maybe 10-year where we just had no contact.
Got it.
And then he ended up coming back into my life.
Now let's talk about your husband. So how did you meet your husband?
I ended up getting a second job, cleaning office buildings. And he was there doing the same identical thing. And that's how I ended up meeting him.
Okay, so you guys dated, got married. How long were you married?
We were married 8 years. We ended up being together 15 years, married for 8. I ended up having 2 beautiful children. I thank God for them. And it was a battle. It was a challenge.
So even with him?
He was a good guy.
Okay.
He was a really, really, really good guy. But he was an alcoholic. Yeah. So no matter the faith I had, us being together, me getting them to go to church as a family man, it just didn't happen.
So what happened to him?
He ended up being killed in a tragic car accident.
And what happened to you after that? Was that devastating? I'm sure it was devastating.
Oh, it was very, very devastating. Although we were in the process of going through a divorce. but the divorce was not final, and he ended up being killed. So yes, it was very, very devastating to be able to receive that call. You know, he was killed in a tragic car on the freeway going to work. And the only thing I could say is, how is it that I will be able to tell my 2 children by him that they would never be able to see their dad again? Yeah, it was very hurtful.
So from that situation, now talk to us a little bit about how you even got into ministry.
You know, nothing but explain that. I mean, it's just, only thing I can say is it was already in God's plan for me to get in ministry. But what made me really get into ministry, Women of Worth, Women of Power International, is because of my past experiences.
Okay.
And when I wrote the book, I learned to love myself. I wanted my book to be able to reach out to different women, letting women know that, no, you are powerful, that you do not have to settle for less. Own your queenness in you because you have it. We don't have to settle as women, but we give ourselves, I gave myself to a man. I gave my heart to a man to where I couldn't receive his heart in return. I gave all my love to someone where I didn't receive the love in return.
So let's stop there, because that seemed to be a cycle.
Yeah, it was. Yes, I was repeating the same cycle over and over again.
You were dating the same man, different name.
Even if I started dating them,
Yeah.
and then eventually, it was the same identical. It was a different person,
Right, different name.
a different name with the same identical person, and I always ended up saying to myself, because of what I experienced my mother going through, or my father, he was a gambler. He worked. He made good money. He was a womanizer. He was a beater. He was abusive. And I found myself attracting in men everything that my father did.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to myself, how is it that I can be attracted to the same identical men that I saw in my father? So was that something that I had, that, was it generational? Put it like that. Did I experience what I'd seen my father? Is basically what my father did in his life. These are the same type of men that I end up attracting in my life. I end up attracting the disrespect. I end up attracting the alcoholic. I end up attracting the abusiveness. I end up just everything I end up going through.
So when did the light bulb click? Like,
The light bulb clicked. I'm going to tell you exactly when the light bulb clicked. The one that I was with, we ended up going on a trip to Mississippi. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it just came back from Belize. I don't know. It was one of them. But I know we had went out of state. And when we had went out of state, we ended up coming back. We ended up coming back to Michigan. And we got back to Michigan. We had drove down there. And when I came back to Michigan, I was tired because we had drove. And I went to sleep, Shannon. And when I had awakened out of my sleep, it was about 8-something and it was raining. And I instantly had a gut feeling. Now, listen now, when we went to Mississippi, he had proposed to me in Mississippi. He had proposed to me now. But when we came back on that evening, it's like, I'm going to say the Holy Spirit woke me up out of my sleep after being so tired because we had drove back. And when I got up and I had that gut feeling, Like something just wasn't right. And it was pouring down raining. I got up out of my bed, got in my car, and I started driving to his house. And
Wait, just out of nowhere?
Yeah. And I started driving to his house. And the closer that I was getting to the exit, something just started bubbling in my stomach. I knew something wasn't right. A woman's gut feeling is always true. I don't care what no one says.
Yeah.
A woman's gut feeling is always true. We know what we know. And as I began to get close and close to his house, and when I got to the house, I got out, and I had a key to his house now. I had a key. And when I got to the house and I got on the street, something just said, I got out the car, and as I was attempting to walk on the porch, his blinds was open.
No, wait.
His blinds was open. And this is a week later after we came back. And I literally was able to look in the house before entering in the house. And I see a woman sitting in the living room on the couch with a beautiful negligee on. And I said, now that's not an average friend now. That'll just be, you know what I mean? And I just went,
Yeah.
berserk. I just went,
So you went berserk on him at the time?
I went crazy.
What does that mean?
I just, when I seen it out totally, I was in shock.
Yes.
But here's a man that, you know, I'm thinking like, okay, this is my soulmate.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's like he had me so fooled. I'm going to put it like that. He had me so fooled. I knew he was a womanizer, but I thought he had changed. But he had not changed. But this particular time, although God had kept showing me different things, showing me in dreams and things like that, God was just giving me dreams. And this particular, when I went over there and when I knocked, he came out. And when he came out of the house, he let this woman, a week later, he let this woman see him disrespect me. I'm going to tell you something. He came out the house and he grabbed me and he drugged me from his house all the way down the street to the main street, blaming me
For showing up at his house.
blaming me for what showed up. Because I had just got off of the phone with him now. And he had said I heard a dog barking. And as he was walking, and I was talking to him, but I could hear it in his voice. Something ain't right. Man, he trying to get me off the phone too quick.
Yeah.
And when I went over there, that's what it was. And he drugged me down the street to the main street, drugged me back to his house. And when we got like right back in front of his house, she was literally standing in the door. And what saved me on that day is 2 doors down, a young lady ended up coming out of the house. And she seen when he had grabbed me and threw me down on the grass. This is the house next door to him now. And she came out and he had a shirt on representing God. He had a shirt on representing God. And
that's what it said, right?
He had a shirt on representing God. And the woman came out the house and she saw how he had threw me and she was like, what are you doing? Are you okay? You okay? Why are you doing that to her? Why are you doing that to her? And she was just hollering for me. Do you want me to call the police? You want me to call the police? He never would let me go though. She was like, you want me to call? I said, yes, please call the police. Yes, please call the police. And then she looked at his shirt, Janet. And when she looked at his shirt, she says, I do not know what God you serve. She said, but you are wearing the wrong shirt.
Wow.
She said, I need to know what God are you serving? She said, because God does not operate like that. And she said, I said, call the police, call the police. And when she kept saying, I'm going to call the police, that's when he let me go. And I was literally able, jacketed everything. He had ripped everything off. And after that happened, I got in my car and I drove all the way home. And I cried. It's like I was crying out in the wilderness. I was just talking to God. I said, God, you've been showing me all this time. I said, but what was it about me that I just could not see? Did I love this man that much that I allowed myself to become so blinded that I put myself through that? And I said, God, deliver me. Them the words I said. I said, God, deliver me from him. So I'll never go back. I will never belittle myself that much to give a man that much credit to where I have to settle for that. And that, you asked me that question, when did you know that enough was enough? That's when I knew enough was enough. That's when I knew. But I was so hurt. I went into a state of depression. When I say depression, I went into a state of depression because I couldn't understand how is it that I can be such a good woman. How can I love so hard, but yet not receive the same in return that I gave out? How could I give my heart to you and you break it like that? What did I do to you so wrong other than love you for who you were that I had to deal with this?
So that was it. Like you ended it, cut off all ties with him, or did you?
Well, not really, because the next day, even though I asked God to deliver me that day, I'm laying in bed, and it hit me again. And I got up. Now, because I had access basically to everything, to all his trucks. You know, I had the codes to all his trucks, to his vehicle, everything he had, I had the code. And I knew what his money maker was. And I got up and I went over there, and all of these trucks is lined up in his driveway. And I knew that if I got to that first one, and I took the keys and all of that, he had a company, a dumpster, and that was his money maker. And I think maybe for 4 or 5 days, maybe almost a week, he was not able to make no money. He was going around borrowing people trucks and stuff, trying to make it, trying to still make his money but he could not even get out his driveway because I went over there, I took the keys, I took everything the way he didn't have access to nothing. And I felt like I just had to get back somehow. Even if it cost him losing thousands of dollars, I had to get back. Like, why would you do this to me? What did I do to deserve?
So after that happened, he eventually got his keys back.
Yeah. He had his mother to call me, and then I didn't even give them to her. And then, I was just, after maybe almost a week, I was like, okay, I need to let this go.
Yeah.
I need to let it go. And what was that? I don't know how he ended up getting the keys back, but he ended up getting the keys back.
So let's talk about your healing journey after that. So once that was done, you then went into your healing journey.
I went into my healing journey. Yeah, I had to. See, God had to deliver me.
Yeah.
God had to set me free from all of the hurt, from all of the bitter, from all of the anger. I was like destroyed. I loved this man. I'm talking about I loved this man. Honestly, and did anything for him. Would do anything for him. So that's what got me How could you betray me like that? And all you have to just be a man and tell me, why hurt an innocent person?
So then you wrote the book.
I ended up writing a book.
Yes, I learned to love myself. Talk to us about that journey.
I had to learn to love myself because I put everybody else in front. And as long as I was putting everyone in front, I couldn't love myself. I didn't love myself at that. I didn't love myself. I ended up letting myself go. I've always been a glam. I've ended up letting myself go. I didn't want to dress. I closed myself out from folk. People was trying to reach out to me. It's like I became a victim of myself. I allowed myself to become a victim, all because I wanted love, all because I wanted true love.
So talk to us about when you wrote the book. What is it that you wanted other women to know from the book?
Never settle. Never feel that you have to settle for less. You are a woman of word. You are a woman of power. So I need you to own up to that. We are who we are. We are true queens. And if we are queens in the eyesight of God, what man out here can tell us that who can make us feel any less? Who can make us feel any less?
Talk to me about your Women of Word, your ministry.
Oh, wow. Women of Worth, Women of Power, International Ministries. The women that I have come in contact with that have had low self-esteem, that have dealt with the abuse, if you was to see many of them now, you wouldn't even think. You wouldn't think. But although I got that ministry now, my ministry had came to a halt because God would not allow me to keep preaching to the choir. How can I tell you something when I'm leaving here and I'm going to do just the opposite? So God had to shut my ministry down for a minute for me to totally heal, because God wouldn't allow me to preach to these women when my own life is not right.
Right.
If you're not healed, how can I say something to you? If I'm not healed, how can I say something to you? How can I tell you to love yourself when I'm not loving myself? How can I say to you, respect yourself when I'm not respecting my own self? So how can I tell the next person something if I'm not living it? So God had to shut me down to get me right. And ever since then, God brought me through my healing. I was healed. I was delivered. I was set free. But I had to go through all of that, Shannon, in order for God to send me the man that's in my life today.
Now let's talk about this new man.
A man that honors me, cherishes me, loves me unconditionally, respects me to the highest, gives me the world. So I don't even have to settle for less no more. Listen, I don't even have to settle for less no more.
That's right.
He saw my worth. And the killing part about it is God sent him to me.
Yes. But because you saw your own worth.
Because I ended up loving myself. I had to love myself first. I had to find me again. I had to find that inner Yolanda again, because this wasn't me. You know what? For a time in my life, I wore a mask that was so good. I wore a mask that was so good. Smiling on the outside. Glamorous.
Oh, yeah.
Living the life. But what? But God.
So let's see the ring.
So you are newly engaged.
I am newly engaged.
Your bow has showed up.
And he is showing out.
And who God has for me is for me.
And who God has for them
is for them. And you know what? Lord, I bring him in. You know what he say?
what?
I wish I had the opportunity to see, to say thank you. I just want to tell him thank you. Because, thank you. That's what he say, thank you. God did it. But I had to go through all of that.
Yeah.
Hurt, pain, trauma, heartache, tears. I had to go through all of that. And it took that very last time for me to experience what I experienced, for me to see my worth and say it's not even worth it. It's not worth it.
So what would you tell other women that are watching today?
Keep the faith. Trust in God. You don't have to settle. Be the queen that you are. Walk high and never look back. Because if you look back, how will it be able to prepare you for your future or what God has for you? Because God has a plan for each and every one of us. But it's up to us to trust the plan that God has for us. As long as I was doing things my way, it failed every time. But when I let go, and when I let God, that's when, okay, go, glory. Listen, and that's when he showed up.
Yeah.
It showed out. And I think that's what the problem can be.
Yeah. We're in our own way.
That we get in our own way. And we don't allow God to be God. But when we can just learn to trust God through the process, when we can trust God through the heartaches, the stumbling blocks, the setbacks, the loss, he'll show up. Oh, glory. Okay, Lord, help me. He'll show up on time.
She's going to take us to church. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, we get a picture of the ring, y'all. We got to see the ring. And he done showed up and showed out.